College Place is a video library of noteworthy presentations, panel discussions, and lectures featuring guest speakers and faculty members, taped at one of the Milwaukee Area Technical College's 4 southeastern Wisconsin campuses. These are produced by students in the college's Associate's Degree program in television video production in coordination with Milwaukee Public Television.
First of all, welcome. I want to shout out to the talent dividend. I've been working with them, I think, from the inception. So Scott is over at where I'm supposed to be right now at Bradley Tech. I'm on the commission there with him, so he's chairing that meeting. He should be over here shortly. But great admiration for the work he's done, both with that organization and with the work here around Mike and working in Milwaukee around the creative and media creative arts. He's been on our campus, he's toured the labs, he's seen what we're doing, he realizes we're the future. And that's pretty exciting. Folks see that in our students. I want to welcome you to the event. I think this is going to be the hub of media creative arts here in southeast Wisconsin. We brought industry leaders together. We've got our faculty, frankly, our future industry employees. Right? Our students, yes, are going to be the future industry employees. So I'll be real quick. I'd like you to make sure at 5:30 when you leave here, we have a time machine over in the M building. It looks like an elevator. It's a time machine. Take it up to the 6th floor where portfolio night is tonight, and you're going to see the future. I think this is the future of Milwaukee. So just push the up button on the time machine. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy. And now we're going to turn the program over to Steve Glynn, founder of Sprinkler.
Thank you, gentlemen. Welcome, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. A quick fact about me, I'm an MATC grad. I graduated here in 1996. I took the scenic route. It took me 4 years to get the 2-year degree. So I don't have to say that this school gave me one of the first much needed kicks in the butt I needed, and got through, and since have been able to work and partner with the school in many different ways, including tonight. I'm very proud to bring this dynamic panel here. For those of you that don't know much about Sprinkler, it's an organization I founded about 6 years ago and started really as a meetup. Much like tonight, a way to bring people together and have a discussion around innovation, creativity, and most of all, how do we support each other with the ideas that we have so that those ideas keep moving forward. And each of these people that you see here on the panel not only work their butts off in their 9 to 5 or 9 to 9s, but they have a very strong interest in the community, in the creative community. They're embedded in the creative community and very supportive of connecting talent to industry. So perfect for tonight. I'll let them explain a bit about their organizations in a minute. I'll just give a quick intro, and they managed to sit out of order to my sheet. So I'll bounce around here. But we'll start, and I'll start with Erica and move down. Erica Conway, who Mike I've stolen now, is president of C2 Graphics, and she's the most connected person I know to creatives, to talent, to employers. So if you have students you need to find opportunities for, or if you are an employer looking for students or any kind of talent in the creative industry, you need to talk to Erica before you leave tonight. Next we have playing Bill Finn. This is not Bill Finn. Bill couldn't make it because his startup is taking off so quickly. He's out of town for Booth Tag, a startup he launched, and while I can explain it maybe a little bit down the road here. But Conrad Ayala, he's the interactive director at Finn Digital. Great amount of experience in the industry, including former partner at an agency. So he'll explain more on that, but really great to have that perspective as well. And then we have Wade over here, Wade Crogwell from Direct Supply, campus and community recruiting manager. Everywhere I go on campus, I see Wade. He is always hunting for creative talent. And I'll use creative a lot, but it's a term that I use to represent all of the programs that you'll see here tonight, whether that's illustration all the way through to design that's either on paper or on the screen, and then all the cool technology behind that. So when I say creativity or creative talent, that's what I mean. Next we have Ms. Kate Poach. Kate is the art director at Sprinkler Creative. She is from the YP side, the Young Creative side, very well connected. She came to Sprinkler as a student in 2009 and really has emerged as a bright young creative leader in this community. And now all of the students that come in that are maybe lacking a little confidence, certainly lacking experience, Kate will take them under her wing and sort of show them around and get them connected to peers and to mentors and to other people in the industry. And then way at the end, we have Mr. Brendan Thomas, founder of Shindig, which is a tech startup here. Another very dynamic, energetic young professional, very active in the tech startup scene, helping entrepreneurs get connected to resources, and most of all, the thing I admire about Brendan is about a year ago or so, he left his 9-to-5 and made the leap into a startup and hasn't looked back. And that's a very scary thing to do when you've got a really nice job and salary and food in the refrigerator. So a broad spectrum here. We've got people working and leading creative process in agencies, people hunting and looking for creative talent and helping employers sustain and grow with that creative talent, and then active in their community, which is really great. So I will jump in or kick this off with a question where I'll ask you guys to sort of blend in where you can, and a bit about your organization as well that fits with the answer here. But from each of your unique perspectives, maybe just give a brief answer on how each of your companies are approaching media, creative arts, design, technology. So from operationally or within your business, how are you approaching those aspects? And then has the priority shifted given how businesses themselves are surrounded by consumer technologies, apps, all their tablets? And I can repeat that if you need me to.
I'll go first, I guess. I work for Fin Digital as the interactive director. One of the things that we noticed early on in the company was that there's been a sort of a paradigm shift of what service needs to be in the organization or in the industry. We've noticed a lot of social media requests, a lot of mobile apps, and taking into consideration online marketing, which is also a basis of our services, we decided to develop a tool called Booth Tag. It allows individuals in a trade show to become a little bit more engaged by playing not video games, but games through a mobile app, actually through a QR code. But noticing that actual change in the whole system and service, we've been monitoring and kind of taking more in consideration of social media, the mobile applications, as well as email marketing, which is fairly a good part of our business. Does that answer your question?
I own a training and staffing firm for creatives. I like to say that I am a pimp for graphic designers, and that is broadened now. I now pimp interactive folks and web developers, web designers, copywriters, creative directors, art directors. So the way that we've responded and embraced new technology is we spent a load of money on a new custom CRM that helps us manage all of our incoming training registrations, incoming talent registrations, timesheets, and client requests, so that all of that is tracked and nothing gets missed, and I don't forget to call people, and all of it's integrated with our iCal. So that level of, and it's mobile friendly. So all that integration has been extremely helpful from an organizational standpoint and from the people we serve, our clients, our talent, so that, and our training clients.
As a company, Direct Supply, we focus on long-term healthcare, which is a pretty exciting market, right? Serving the elderly. We provide services and technology to that. So our customer, we're business to business, so we're very mindful of what our customer needs. The average profile for an administrator in a nursing home is 48 to 57 years old. So from a technology standpoint, we're helping them to adapt those technologies in their corporations and in their facilities. So we started with a virtual distribution model where we didn't warehouse any products. We still don't back in '85. We launched a procurement system in '95, facility management system, but along the way bringing mobile apps into that as well to make the systems more accessible to the individuals in the facility that are running those facilities and nursing homes throughout the United States. So from a technology standpoint, just that evolution from '85 to today on how the languages have changed, the needs have changed, the uses have changed as well. So it's very important to stay connected, in our case, with the end user to make sure that it's meeting their needs and at a level that they can use and adapt as well. So it's a lot of usability, so reaching out and feedback, with them as well, so we don't leave them behind with technology. It's really marrying those two together. We like to hold them drag them, kicking and screaming at times with technology, because it does make their operations a lot more efficiently. But software engineering we do a lot with, but also interactive, multimedia talent as well at Direct Supply.
At Sprinkler Creative, we do design and technology, so we noticed a shift into the digital space and sort of took advantage of it because we are not kickers and screamers. We kind of jump into things. Anything that's kind of new and cutting edge, we enjoy exploring. So when I joined in 2009, when I joined, we had a much broader array of services that we offered, and then we really focused probably mid-2010 or 2011, we focused on the design and technology only, so we built like web and mobile applications.
Brendan Thomas, Shindig is the company, and what we do at Shindig is we create software that helps artists and venues connect using social media tools, create events, and then promote them together. So we're very much in the design and technology space. It's not just so we are embracing kind of this shift into directly connecting end users, consumers. In our case, there are 3 different segments of it, but connecting them directly with what they're passionate about or what their interests are. So I think, to me, that's the most exciting part about this kind of social, local, mobile revolution is the ability to be directly connected in real time with something that you genuinely care about. In our case, live music, local music, but really just about anything. So. From an operational standpoint, we're mostly a software-only team and work very closely with our designers on rapid iteration using agile methodology. And it's really important, as you mentioned, for us to stay in close contact with our consumers. We're doing something that's different, kind of changing consumer behavior or attempting to. So making sure we're understanding how that user experience is playing out and how we want it to play out, and making sure that we're adapting along those lines. Very much important to us, and it's exciting, it's fascinating, it's good.
Thanks, guys. I think the feedback was actually my mic. It was aimed at my arm. I don't know why. So I'll lead you guys with a couple of things here. In some of the publications that I'm reading now, filled with talk about innovation and the importance of innovation to companies. I had over lunch today, someone made a comment that there must have been a lot of writing of stories in Harvard Business Review a year ago, because now companies are coming out with their innovation platforms and teams. So it's had quite an influence. And I've even had senior level execs say, of big companies say, wow, we're a great company, we have thousands of employees, but innovation dies within these walls. And when they talk about how they're going to innovate or overcome those challenges to be more innovative, the first thing they say is we need more creative talent. We need more creatives, people who think and solve problems in different ways than we do today. So if you can touch on quickly, maybe from 1 to 5, how high you rate innovation, with 5 being the highest, and then how are you going about finding, locating, or connecting with schools to find that talent that you need. And you can go in any random order you like.
So, not to tutor on form, but I have to say it live. I mean, we started the entire company under an idea that is completely disruptive to the existing live industry model. Can I get a lot closer? Right. Yes, please. Lean down. Is that better? All right. So, if anyone heard what I said before, we started the entire company with the idea that we could completely change the way an industry works, using software and connecting people in ways that they weren't able to connect before. So, you know, to that respect, everything we do is creative, and every person in the organization needs to be creative and needs to embrace that and needs to not be afraid of it. So, in terms of acquiring that talent, building the initial team, I think in general creatives are attracted, I mean, most people are, but creatives are attracted to what they're interested in. They want to do something that they're genuinely intrigued by or fascinates them or keeps their attention. And that's why, in my opinion, a lot of truly creative people are unable to hold 9-to-5 desk jobs in cube farms. It's because inside those four walls, innovation dies. So doing something new, doing something exciting, and doing something different, I think that in and of itself is a way to attract and retain creatives. It's kind of a moth to a flame idea. They will flock to whatever is the newest, most exciting thing. And really, if you're not doing something new and exciting as an organization, I feel like you're doing something wrong. If you're not doing at least one portion or one sector of what you're doing isn't revolutionary in some way in your minds, you're not going to attract that talent, and you're also not doing something right organizationally. So I think it's kind of a self-perpetuating thing if you can keep that innovation engine going.
I was about how are you connecting, or do you use any of the local schools or any schools to connect with some of that talent?
We've been fortunate in that we're very young. We literally incorporated less than a year ago. And we've been fortunate that just kind of the excitement around what we've been doing has brought talent to our doorstep. We're also very small, and we don't have quite the appetite for finding talent that hopefully will in the future as we grow. But we have worked with, mostly through student outreach at campuses like UW-Madison, UW-Milwaukee. We haven't done anything officially with any of the local colleges, universities yet, but it's definitely something that we're looking towards as we look to bring on interns in creative disciplines.
Probably a 5 for us. There's not, we do have processes that we follow, but really each project that we approach has to be approached in a different way just due to client needs. So as a creative, you have to be comfortable with that. I definitely agree that there is something to be said about culture fostering innovation. So I don't necessarily think that one person is naturally more innovative than another. I guess I just feel like you need to be encouraged. If that's the kind of environment that we're welcoming people into, you need to encourage them to think disruptively. And then as to college outreach, events like this, I think it was a few weeks ago UWM just had theirs. So we're pretty active in the local education scene just because as a company we're young, we're fresh, we have interns, we need to be. But also we're all really interested in education, and we go to other related meetups. I know Web 414 is today, and MKE UX. There's a lot of events around town that we kind of make sure that we pop up at every once in a while just to keep our own thinking fresh, as well as find other people who are connected to similar passions of ours.
Can you hear me now? All right, good. The reality is today's world, the speed of business is moving exponentially. It's no longer just a local market, it's a world market, so that innovation has to be core to a business or you're going to die. Our company was founded on the mission of enhancing the lives of the residents in long-term care, so we continue to be focused on that, and with that mission then we're looking for new ways to service and take care of that resident. So it's not just the products. Others are doing that very well, so we're looking at how do we deliver services more effectively, how do we deliver those products more effectively, how can we make their operations run more efficiently. So around that mission, that really drives where our innovation is focused on. And as an employee-owned company, each of us, as an owner in the business, have a focus on making our roles better, sharing ideas as we see ways to do that, sharing those ideas, so just the environment itself breeds new ideas and that openness to share that. If it was a company where those ideas shared or died, we wouldn't be able to continue to grow. So we have a high emphasis on continuing to bring in those new ideas and different ideas. That's a important part of our organization. From a school standpoint, I mean, that's my whole job, as a company. So I really value that the company recognizes that importance of having someone looking at partnerships with schools, and with programs. We're at Washington High School of IT doing activities with them at the college level with MSOE, UWM, Marquette, other schools in the area as well. But really looking at developing students through internship programs, coming into full-time roles, because really in the academics is where a lot of those new ideas are coming through, new technologies, but then giving students that opportunity to do that in the role and then continue once they graduate. Learning never ends. So getting them involved in other programs, other meetups and other activities to expand their creative ideas and practice that, so they can bring that back into direct supply and help us grow, selfishly help us grow as well. But through their growth, that's where our growth comes through.
I can follow that. So. Great answer. Well, I don't want to break the streak. I think that Fin Digital does have, I'd have to say, a level 5 as far as being innovative. In fact, every week we have what is called a lunch and learn, and where we're bringing to the table ideas and concepts and theories that we could actually apply onto some of our projects. Now, we're not there to reinvent the wheel, but we're there to add something a little bit more to it, to add a little bit more engaging process. So in terms of really thinking of our company as being innovative, we've probably tabled about 10 to 15 for every 2 months of ideas of what we can actually go into, a different set of business models that we could probably apply to some of our clients. As far as going to different schools and seeking them out, we had one employee that started off as an intern, and from that employee, he's actually leading our booth tag initiative. So we do go out and kind of take a look at some schools, but it's really, I really count on the individual student to seek out the company. And by doing that, you're showing me more initiative that gives you a higher lead.
I'm going to go backwards. No, maybe I won't. So C2 has been around really since 1992 as Mac Pros. And Mac Pros was training and staffing for creatives. And so in terms of innovation, we moved the office and we changed the name, but the business model works. We've evolved with technology, and we've made a real effort to, one of the innovative things we've done is segue into the education piece, is that we've established long-term relationships with the technical schools in the area, the four-year programs in the area, with their faculty, and with their students, to try to make it to all the portfolio reviews. Now that we've made those relationships, literally, the stack of invitations was like this. I'm like, okay, who's going to these? I can't go to all of them. So we try to get all of our staff out, and Kevin is one of our instructors who is our higher education liaison. So we've implemented that as a way to have a point person if a speaker is needed or if something like of that nature is needed. In terms of recruiting and trying to help students find gigs, if you go to our website, you will, when you try to register, it says, generally speaking, we do not accept students unless you have a kick-ass portfolio. Otherwise, come back in a year and we'll talk to you then. Because the one thing students lack is that ability to go in from a software perspective and be able to troubleshoot on the fly and work quickly and have those kind of industry standard skills. Well, over the last 2 years, we have seen that changing. And we have had students come in and test as well as professionals and have strong books. And what they now need is experience. So I get to skill market those people, and there aren't a lot of them, but the ones that there are really impressive, and working professionals beware. Because it's been really impressive. It's been a change from what we've seen in the past. So.
Cool. Well, thanks. I've heard two things. One, innovation is really important to each of your organizations, and two, yes, you are connecting with the schools in very levels, but that it's great to know there are a lot of options to go and connect with students at these types of events. And Erica lied, she actually does go to all the events that she's invited to, so invite her. Great segue to the next question. So what is everyone seeing, whether they're actually hiring or interviewing or just bumping into at some of these events, meetups? What are you seeing from the new crops of creatives? What are their expectations for work? We hear a lot of things, we read a lot of stories about what they expect from career paths to work environment, company culture, schedule flexibility, the projects they work on. Tell us what you're seeing from these young emerging creatives coming out of school.
So, because of all these portfolio reviews, and we've been doing some testing with students lately, I feel like I can answer that right off the cuff. The expectations of the students, at least the students I've been working with, they all tend to be graphic design or web design students or people who are hybrids. Those folks are just eager to get a gig and get some experience. And I think from a staffing firm, like normally students were really leery of going to a staffing firm, but now the students that we're meeting with are like, yeah, it's exciting to think I could go to Kohler one time and then Kohl's and then this and then that, and I'm like, well, good, you're perfect, get on my roster. So their sense of adventure or the freedom they feel like they have to go and experience, they're not nearly as trepidatious as probably 3 or 4 years ago, where people were feeling like they had to go in and get a full-time job right away. And that's the only way they could do it. And students aren't getting paid much, so when they come to me, they're like, oh my God, you're gonna pay me what? And I'm not paying them much, but I'm paying them much more than they would get as an intern or if they were hired directly. So, and I have to, because if they test well and they get on my roster, they're as qualified as any other professional, and I'm not gonna pay them less because they're an entry-level student. That's right. You're not on my roster yet, though.
You will be.
You will. She will be. You're absolutely right. And then one of the biggest things that I'm seeing, though, is an elevation of sophistication of portfolios. I have been incredibly impressed. UWM, WCTC, MATC, like actually most of the schools, not all, but most of the schools have this increased level of knowledge of design, typography, but the implementation, they do those terrible magazine layouts. Every every program has them. They're awful. They're not awful anymore. Not all of them. Some of them are still awful. But they really look professionally done. The photography is better, the lighting is better. I mean, I don't know if it's the technology that takes it there, or if it's the faculty. I'm sure it is. Give it up for faculty. Right. Woo! But there's definitely been an increase in quality of portfolios of students. So that's my observation.
Thank you. Who's next?
That's an interesting question, because I have to sort of take you back about 10, 15 years ago, when I used to interview individuals that's coming straight out of school. Their expectation was, hey, I'm looking for a $65,000, $75,000 salary. I want to work on the highest brands there is. What do you have to offer me? And I'm kind of like, what? Where are you getting this from? There's a big difference now. Individuals are asking more about, what is a team like? What's the environment like? What's the office space that I would be working on? And am I working on a Mac? It's more of what's around them and what's available to them and who's going to be helping me as far as grow my skill set. And that's what I've been seeing nowadays. But as far as salary goes, that's probably another conversation at a later time. Then again, you're going to look at the individuals and say, does this person really fit in our organization? And if they do, we want to hire this person, simply because their genuine interest in the organization.
Yeah, what we're seeing is students that truly love the technology. It's so available, so accessible. 10, 15 years ago, there was 1 or 2 languages, and that's what they knew. They were diehard for that. Now it's changing so much. There's different iterations, different ways to design. So we're seeing students have that flexibility. They're questioning the norm. Okay, you guys do it this way. Why? Well, because we have. Let's change it then. So, you know, having that confidence to ask the questions is a big thing, and that's what we're seeing with the students coming out. You know, some see that as a bad thing. We like it because, again, it goes back to that growth thing of doing the same way, doing the same thing the same way tomorrow, the day after that. You're never going to be able to grow. So, being able to challenge and question those things is something that we look for. And then just that flexible space, you know, as well. You know, they're asking about flexible hours. Do I have to work 8 to 5? And our response is, no, why? I mean, your projects that you're working on have deadlines, and if you're better at working at night, if you're nocturnal, fantastic. You still need to be able to meet with clients and customers internally to understand what the needs are, but work when your peak performance happens. So just that flexibility of asking about those things and more aware and in tune to when they're most effective, and that's exciting to see. They're not locked into that rigidity that there used to be in businesses, but also with talent. So it's exciting to see that flexibility.
What I've noticed the most out of the recent graduating classes is that like they are very, very flexible, and I think that maybe part of that is because they just don't have enough experience to know what doesn't work for them, like in terms of like a career environment or like stipulations, like so that they're really not coming out like making a lot of demands, which is a good thing, you know, because then they can sort of try things out. Usually what we do to try to make sure, because I think it was brought up before, like cultural fit is a very important thing. I think it's like the quickest way to burn out of a company. So we usually have people come in before they actually interview. We have them come in and shadow for a day so that they understand what it is we do. So, you know, since we're working on like tech projects, like they need to understand that like this is day to day. This is not like, oh, this would be cool to learn. Like, yeah, it would be cool to learn. That will help you in your career. But you need to, you know, if people are going to bring them aboard our team, like we want to make sure that this isn't like sort of a stray thought in their head, that this is something that they're really passionately committed, you know, to learning. So usually we have them sit and shadow with each member of our team so that they understand how projects flow, like for myself, like as user experience into like design and then over into development, front end and back end, so that they kind of understand what everybody on the team does and like where their role and function in the company may be. And when I actually interviewed for my job, I kind of forced Steve to do that for me. I was like, how am I going to sell myself to you as the best candidate for this job if I don't fully understand what you do? So like from like a university or college perspective, I think maybe what would be really helpful is like understanding, like, especially within design, like there's so many different like niches that you can fall into, like to have that discussion with students and to like help them to understand like, hey, this is going to be really uncomfortable for you, like if you're, you know, used to being a print designer, like moving into like digital or even mobile spaces, like I don't know, it's intimidating. So you know, to get them sort of like aware of like these are career paths, and even to get them sort of I don't know, resources started on working on their own. Sorry, that was tangential, but anyway, super flexible students, which we love. Thank you.
I feel like I'm going to be echoing kind of everyone else here, but what's interesting to me is I think creatives, maybe more so than any other type of full-time employee you can hire for, need to know and feel and really experience that it's more than just a job. It's more than just a task you're completing. The cultural fit is so important. They have to feel free and unencumbered to be creative, basically. So it means they have to enjoy the people they're working with, the atmosphere, the environment, the flexibility with regards to hours. Anything that could get in the way of what makes them valuable to you as an employer, which is their creativity, needs to be stripped away and removed from the employer side. And I think it's interesting to see that you know, younger people graduating are realizing that's what's important to them, and it's not just, you know, take whatever you can in terms of employment. And that's kind of a change that, you know, I've seen, not being that far out of college myself, but I've seen happening more rapidly over the last 5-10 years, which is kind of exciting.
Great, thanks. And I'll just echo a comment from Todd Teskey, who's the CEO of Briggs & Stratton, in a meeting a week or so ago. He's shared the same thoughts, but also in getting the organization to understand creatives don't always come in at 8. They usually come in at the break of 10 a.m. or 11 a.m., sometimes a little later. That can be a really a severe cultural shift for an organization that has to be made to bring this talent into the organization. So kind of as a follow-up to that, I've got, this may be the last one, and we'll open it up for questions, but you know, in 20 seconds or so, are there gaps in skills, or are there skills that are emerging that you're not seeing that you would need to see, or that educators or other companies might need to understand are happening or out there or should be out there?
UX, definitely we'll have that be second, third, maybe possibly all the way down the line there.
And that's user experience, right?
User experience, yeah, absolutely. It's and there's a lot of, I mean, it's not a new field, it's not a new term. It's been gaining a lot of popularity and buzz recently, but people who truly understand how to put themselves in a user's shoes, and a user doesn't have to be, I come from a software background, so I'm automatically thinking someone in front of a screen, but using a product, using a service, using anything, designing the experience around how that person interacts with your product and your service, and really being able to put yourself in those shoes. Really, I think it takes someone with a high level of empathy to be able to do that. And also the design experience and the industry experience regarding whatever market you happen to be in, to do that effectively. And I think there are so many people out there who are in that field and wear that hat, but don't quite have the depth needed to execute that. I think that's something that more and more, even larger mainstream corporations are realizing is a priority and something we need. So I'm not sure if MATC has a UX focus or anything like that, but I think it's something that it would be great to see educational institutions focusing on.
I'm going to go ahead and echo Brennan and say yes, UX, and I think that we're both particularly conscious of it because we both come from kind of a startup culture, and in startups, UX is sometimes what determines whether a company lives or dies. It's the #1 thing that I have to teach interns when they come in. I don't mind teaching it, it's fun for me, but I do wish that they had some sort of like basics in learning to be empathetic for users, and I think that's huge. MKE UX, if you guys haven't gone, please do.
I'm going to echo the user experience as well. I mean, you can create some fantastic designs and create it as all get up, but if the user doesn't work with what they need it to do or what the company's trying to do, it doesn't work. So, UX.
UX is great, and I think it's important to have, but if you take a look at some of the positions that are being asked to be filled out there, they're asking for a lot of multiple or many wearing hats individual. And so, yes, UX is exactly where you should be now, but give it another few months and we'll have a lot of UX designers out there. We still need to expand our skill set and sort of touch on every little point. And I'm not saying that you have to be a professional and expert in every single point. You should have a focus, but you should also know what email marketing does. You should also know what usability enhances the user interface. What all these things kind of do as a whole is what I'm seeing out there.
Erica, I'll just add something to to what you might bring back as your answer. So not only if there's a gap, but knowing you reach so many companies and organizations that are hiring or training, how are they addressing some of the gaps in skills, or whether that's through education or it's students or experienced professionals? Maybe talk about some of those things.
So the biggest request I get from clients is the unicorn, the hybrid, the web and print, but not just web and print. They want Illustrator, InDesign, Photoshop, HTML, CSS, maybe some JavaScript, jQuery, PHP, yeah, developer, if they can get it. They just want, and they want it all because they're two things. They don't have a full understanding of what that means, and there's only money for one position. So I like to push back on clients and say, you are asking me for two people. I will give you a person who has a bit of all those skills, but you are not going to get what you want, which is somebody who can execute in every piece of that path. So I think that more often than not, right now, there are hybrids. This program graduates hybrids. And it is going to happen more and more often because people have the access to the technology at a younger age. In high school, they're already doing complex print projects, web projects. So by the time they get to this level, they're going to have more. So to train working professionals, there is an Adobe authorized training center right here in the city of Milwaukee. Happens to be C2, and we do a kind of web design for print designers. It's called their standards-based web, and we've had students who are interested in taking that too because it's more focused instead of on HTML. It's focused on the standards-based and usability, accessibility, and kind of the things that ultimately professionals are seeking, that you have that knowledge. And my other piece of this is you can be a print designer, and if you understand usability, user experience, user interface, if you just have an understanding of why those things are important and maybe some of the best practices in the industry, while you may not be able to execute those, you can speak intelligently and be on a team where people are working on those things. And I think that's where we are advising some of the people we're testing is to get their butts on the Google and figure some of that stuff out.
Cool, thank you very much. I'd like to open it up. We've got about 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. Open it up to the audience for any questions for the panelists. We've got one over here. Should I use the... Okay. I'm going to attempt to walk around.
Nice transition.
Now we'll have karaoke.
For the panel, could you name me one trend or technology or a system or a software that is little known, up and coming, and that you may have heard about, and that would be that we would all know about within, let's say, 2 to 5 years?
No. I'm kidding, I was just being funny. I don't have an answer though. Go ahead, Gary.
One of the biggest things that's going around right now, and some companies are actually considering using it, but there hasn't been a model based around it, is Pinterest. That's just another social media application or social media that is sort of hitting the buzzword, but there's not a lot of companies, again, using that. Actually, there is Southwest Airlines is using it so that they can put up some of the promotions right on that. So it's another touch point if you have that would show up for you.
I would have to say it's been called the semantic web, and I'm not going to get too technical or into it, but basically it's the idea that the web will eventually evolve beyond being a huge network of content to a series of interchangeable services that can communicate cleanly and effectively with each other. And I think that'll, those of your software development background, think the next generation of APIs that all communicate with each other via some standard interface. That's going to be something that's going to, some call it Web 3.0, but will, I think, revolutionize how we communicate.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that. You said API, so I think maybe that's a term companies are looking at now in terms of how they open up their data to the world. So no matter what type of company you are, how do you give access to certain aspects of your data so that those bright young developers out there can build applications for you, connect other people to your company, to your products, to your services for a much different cost structure than maybe you're used to, just by opening up certain pieces of your data.
And that's happening right now. That's
right.
Not happening a year from now. It's going to happen 3 or 5 years from now.
I think that maybe for me, coming from a design background, I wish I could speak a little bit better to tech, but that would be other people on my team. But I can tell you that one of the things I'm paying attention to is the evolution of the richness of typography on the web. So sort of kicked off by Google Fonts, and then like other languages that kind of assist. So like kern.js is like something that like helps regulate the spacing in between letters, and it looks more clean on the web. So I think that it's something that people are perceiving as a need, because it just doesn't contain any of the elegance of type or print design. And I think that probably in the next couple of years things will stop being so numerically based, and will probably kind of work more like in proportional units.
At our office, we talk a lot about HTML5 and CSS3 and video and animation on the web, and where it's going and where mobile will take web content as opposed to where web content drives mobile. So the idea that mobile devices are revolutionizing design and programming languages, and how to keep up with that. That's the buzz at our office. These guys all know it. We're trying to keep up.
Just a little tweak there. Shindig is a HTML5 compliant mobile web app.
Very nice.
Any other questions?
I have a question as a student and potential employee for any of you people. A lot of the time you've mentioned having all of these different skill sets available that we can offer you. How do we market those skill sets to you so that we can find employment? How do we show you that we are these multifaceted individuals? Do we show you individual pieces? Because I've heard that's a good way to do it. Do we show you team-based things? Because that's another good way to do it. How do we market ourselves to you and to other potential employers so that we can achieve a relationship with you so that you get what you want, we get what we want?
Great question.
First, do you have a LinkedIn profile?
Yes.
That I would put it on there right away. I would have that presence right or stated on your profile. I would look over your portfolio and directly just ask you that question: do you have experience doing this? And if you could communicate to me the process that you took to develop that, that's another another skill set that I would look at as far as putting you above other individuals.
And here with I was just going to say, if you do have a LinkedIn, which you should, and if you don't, I'm going to come slap your instructors. You should also go on behance.net and connect your portfolio right to your LinkedIn, because that's a sexy way to see somebody's work and not have to go to two places.
Could you repeat that?
Sexy. It is sexy.
What is that name again?
It's behance.net. It's BEHANCE.net.
Actually, Behance got me a couple projects. Just first day I put it up, my portfolio up there, I got a couple inquiries. That turned into a telephone call, and then that turned into a project.
For us, it doesn't matter if you completed a project by yourself or on a team, because we're a team, and we would never expect someone to master all the skills needed to execute a full project. Mostly I'm looking to see critical thinking, and so I usually make people talk about their projects and show it to me in any format. I don't really care, but I really want to hear how you think about approaching work or approaching solving problems or technical hang-ups in the middle of the project. And then if you have design skills, then I'm going to drill you a little bit harder.
I'm up the second. Kate's showing how you approach work, but for me it's more showing that you have kind of an entrepreneurial perspective on what you do, that you've taken on projects, either at home or not for work, not for school, just something that you wanted to do, and ran with it and completed something. Or even projects that were for workers who went above and beyond and really just kind of owned something and got into it, got passionate about it, and executed. That to me is exciting to see, and showing that people can take the initiative and run with what's in their head and making it real. That sells me.
So if you're looking at it from a job search standpoint, and that's what I love doing, not that I'm looking for a job, but helping people with that. That gets into narrowing your search, looking at those core companies who have the technology or the culture that you're interested in. Borderline stalking people, that are there. You don't want any restraining orders placed against you as part of that process, but getting out and interacting with them. It's those soft skills, whether it's team or individual, being able to communicate with people. So through that networking, get involved with people that are at the company, find ways to get involved and stay involved with the technology as well, whether it's through volunteer groups or projects or just playing and tinkering with it in your own free time. That's the type of stuff as employers, it's really going to stand out, because then we don't have to worry about motivating you to learn something new. You're showing us that you're already doing that. That's a huge foot up on and leg up on others that we're looking at. So make sure that you're doing that.
And then my last comment about that is, if you're a visual designer, you're a video, whatever your niche is, information design is your thing. That's what you do. That's the core of who you are, what you do. It doesn't matter in what medium you do it. So whatever piece of paper or PDF is in front of me better be your masterpiece of information design. And if somebody tells you that HR needs a different resume, you're right. They do. I don't want to see your HR resume, because if you want me to represent you to be in your field, I had better be able to hand a beautiful piece of work over that says this guy knows his craft. Because I only get this piece of paper to represent you. So.
Yes, I actually have a question for Kate. I'm from Union Art Gallery over at UW in Milwaukee. So my question isn't entirely technical because we run a gallery, but I have a fairly young team starting in the fall, and you talked a little bit about teaching user experience. How would you go about that? I would like to hear your perspective on that.
Can you get into that? Can you tell me like, a little bit like what type of team do you have, how big, what to do?
Sure. I would say we have about 5 to 6 students that are there 4 or 5 hours a day, so one at a time. And I guess our main experience that we have to deal with is the customer experience. So how people interact with the gallery and that kind of thing. And sometimes that stretches into our marketing concerns for social media and that kind of thing. But I guess what might be more helpful is just to talk about experiences that you've had and the requirements of user experience from your end. It doesn't necessarily have to be gallery related, obviously.
Sure, no, I was just curious as to what prompted the question. So, I mean, we deal in technology, so maybe I'll tell you what we do and then I'll try to adapt, hopefully. So usually the way that I would go about teaching somebody who knows nothing about user experience is usually I'm dealing with visual designers first, so I show them wireframes, because it's a good way to get started thinking it's not all encompassing of user experience. I mean, there's a lot more thinking that goes into it, and then writing. Designers just seem to have a easier time wrapping their head around it when they can take a look at it. And then I usually show them how the wireframes evolve and like why we made the choices that we made. See, I usually don't look at user experience as something that like stops at a particular point. Like, you know, it's not a discrete time period in the project. It's something that needs to be upheld through design, and then there's considerations that need to be made as it moves into development for us. So usually I'll try to like give them a case study, an example of something that we worked on in the past, and then usually I'll let them have my files and they can kind of click around through it and see how I'm doing things or organizing things. But really it's just to get them thinking, started thinking about, you know, having empathy for the user and like how we can ensure that they're having the best experience possible. And so that may start with a theme. For example, one of our themes was sort of like superhero tech slick workout star, and you know, so like it actually started with like words first, and then we usually do like user stories. So we write like, as a user, I want to do this, I want to do this. You know, so if like people are coming into the gallery, they're like, I want to know what the show is, I want to know when does it close, I want to know if I can take pictures in here. And in those types of situations, it might be more helpful to like run through an experience of someone who's walking in the door who knows nothing about it, and then to have them give feedback and have your employees hear it may be like a good way to start them thinking about it.
Yeah. Okay. That kind of mirrors the plan of attack I have for fall 2012, but it's interesting to hear it in a different industry context.
Good to hear. I'm glad.
All right, we have time for one quick question. We good? Everyone's excited to get up to see the student work? Well, let's hear it for the panelists. Thanks just to MATC for allowing us to be part of this. It's really great to get out and interact, and especially share some viewpoints from some of the leaders in the industry. And I'll just say, to continue the conversation, there's a spot in the Grand Ave that is really an emerging place for creatives of all kinds, artists to technologists, designers, developers, entrepreneurs. It's called Open Mic, and Mike was referenced early on. It's an Innovation in Milwaukee project happening right now. And so if you just Google Open Mic, we have faculty that comes in, we have businesses that come in, students. It's a member-based organization. Membership is free, but it's a 7,000 square foot space where you can collaborate, discuss, put your ideas on the whiteboard, make it your office, have meetings. It just really works well to keep these conversations going and flowing. So thank you all. Let's race to get upstairs.
If you could join me just one more time, giving our esteemed panel a round of applause.
College Place is a video library of noteworthy presentations, panel discussions, and lectures featuring guest speakers and faculty members, taped at one of the Milwaukee Area Technical College's 4 southeastern Wisconsin campuses. These are produced by students in the college's Associate's Degree Program in Television Video Production in coordination with Milwaukee Public Television.